Hi, I'm Jared Foley, and I'll be sharing on the article Visual Rhetoric of Data Displays, The Conundrum of Clarity by Charles Kostelnick. So some of the main points of Kostelnick's article are that data displays must match the rhetorical situation, and both designers and the users play crucial roles. And users are readers. They're called users because of new technology making graphs more interactive, where they are not just readers, they're actually changing information, manipulating the data in a way, and so therefore from here on out they're referred to as users. And another big part of this article is the concept of clarity with new technology, essentially trying to still adhere to some of the principles of Edward Tufte, who I'll get to in a moment, while keeping in mind the new technology and the larger readership too, or I guess usership, with the internet and more types of data displays and more avenues for data to be presented. So in terms of whether Kostelnick is closer to Stephen Few or Roberto Cairo, I definitely felt he was closer to Stephen Few. He's pretty much pro-Tufte. And some of the main quotes here, we are immediately drawn to Tufte's maxim that graphical excellence consists of complex ideas communicated with clarity, precision, and efficiency, that it gives to the viewer the greatest number of ideas in the shortest time with the least ink in the smallest space. So essentially it's about efficiency. But the interesting thing is that he also seems to feel that there are some exceptions, that these are not the only rules and that they have to be followed when it comes to design. He writes, to spark the reader's interest, he writes that if a version of a chart is too low key for the rhetorical situation, the designer may even have to resort to some of Tufte's loathsome chart junk. So in other words, he's saying sometimes you need that added visual element to it, even if Tufte might have frowned upon it. It's important because you've got so many more readers and so much more information out there that's important first to draw their attention a little bit, and like you said, to spark their interest. And then at that point, they'll pay attention to the data maybe a little bit more. So one of the main things is about understanding the audience, recognizing different rhetorical situations, and also one of the keys to understanding the audience is actually to elicit audience feedback. He writes that by studying design in context and by eliciting holistic feedback directly from readers, designers can interrogate the clarity of a display for a given rhetorical situation. And he also was writing about how users or readers bring their own experiences to the data, to a data display. He writes, because readers' encounters with data displays do not occur in a social or cultural vacuum, achieving clarity is a collective, though often invisible, effort. Readers are not naive, so noble savages who gaze innocently. Rather, they are members of discourse communities, large and small, public and specialized, that foster their interpretive skills. So, in other words, not every reader is going to look at the one data display in the same way. And it's about understanding these reactions, understanding that everyone brings to the table their own experiences and their own situation are going to play a factor. And then the other main part of this article is about technology. And this wasn't stated directly, but it's something that I kind of gleaned from what he was saying. Basically, that interactive data displays mean that designers have more to consider, the level of interactivity being a whole new factor, but they can also relax a bit more, knowing that users now share a role in defining the data by narrowing it down, adapting it to meet their specific needs. In other words, designers now can put up a large table. With interactive technology, it's up to the users then to find what's most interesting about it. They can apply, whatever the setting is that will show them their specific situation. And so that makes it a little easier on the designer. They essentially put all the information up there. Of course, they still have to make sure it looks good and that follows some of those design principles, but a little bit less pressure. And then the other thing is that Kostelnick offers several examples of this interactive technology at work. A couple examples are bankrate.com, where users can graph interest rates for mortgages both nationally and in a specific state of their choosing, as well as over several time spans. And also the New York Times 2004 election guide of the US, where users can select from numerous political contests and then click on states to reveal additional data about a given contest. He also points out, though, and this is pretty important, he says, interactivity does not assure clarity. No amount of interactivity can compensate for a poorly conceived design. And I felt this was a strong connection to what we're reading from Stephen Few and from Roberto Cairo, that there's a lot of choices out there with data displays and data visualizations, and they can be nice and interesting and flashy and all that, but the main thing is that the data is there and that it's telling a specific story in an effective way. As far as the connections to our class, I felt it's important for us to keep in mind when we're creating these tables and also the graphs that we have to understand who the audience is, and it's important to gear our information towards the audience and keep it specific. And then also that interactivity is important. For us, of course, we're not really up to that level in terms of the technology, but that no matter what, it's important to understand the audience and also to keep things interesting for the audience. So I felt like Kostelnick pointed to some pretty key issues, especially with design today, and he does a really good job of explaining these things also while giving good examples. So I would absolutely recommend this article, especially for anyone who's looking to go on and work with this in the future. So thank you guys for listening and for watching.